Okay, cool. Who remembers where we were?
Good one.
So I'll fill you in. 'Tis the week before Christmas.
Crimbus.
And all through the house.
Was the week before Christmas.
Yes, all through the house is also the week before Christmas. Can confirm, but it is the week before Christmas, and there is indeed a house. It is the week before Christmas in 1377. I've lost Ollie immediately from the cams.
Yeah, you've gone as well. I think my internet's probably being a bit spotty.
Fair. The week before Christmas, 1377, in the town of Bosnia, the Western Balkans. And it is currently the... Ollie, you're the local prince. How often do you keep your Elysiums, your vampiric meetups?
A small one every 3 months, and a larger one every 6 months. You know, sort of on a district by district basis every 3 months, and a larger citywide one every 6 months.
Fair. And the person in charge of that is your sheriff / keeper of Elysium, Alexia, who basically organizes the whole thing. It is a momentous occasion for you. You have been, for some decades now, working on building up this little town, this isolated outpost of Catholicism in these Cult of Greg-filled wastelands.
Wasteland's rude.
Well, they weren't wastelands until a bunch of ragtag vampires about a century ago just kind of fucked things up for everyone.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, you've been working on a few things in this town, basically sort of working to build up a place to stay, to call your own, a city of phenomenal beauty in this savage mountain range filled with wolves. And many of those plans have not played out particularly well for you, but one that has is just growing the city, and the wealth has eventually attracted the soon-to-be royal house. Soon-to-be because on Christmas Day, 1377, Tvertko, which I'm probably butchering, Kotromanic, the Ban of Bosnia, intends to crown himself as Bosnia's first king. As he's currently keeping his royal residence here, and as he's one of the more powerful magnates in the region, this puts you in a really good place, Ferdinand Ziplok. You're functionally going to be the overprince to quite a number of Canaanites spread across the land. And as the town throngs with mortals and undead alike, all awaiting the incipient crowning of King Tvertko, you find your Elysium visited by more than just the locals. There are princes and representatives from far and wide. Let's see who we've got. Delegations from other Canaanite factions, include one from the Arpad Ventru. Those are Hungarian vampires who rule over most of the heartlands of your homeland as a Hungarian yourself. There is another from the Zemisi Voyevodate. Voyevodate? God, I don't think I've ever actually had to pronounce that aloud before. Yeah, the Zemisi Voyevodate. The sort of over-government of the flesh-shaping clan. There's also a rather shifty investigator from Clan Tremere, as well as several envoys from major princeships in Serbia and Macedonia, and the Prince of Split himself, who does not particularly like you. As you may recall, you murdered... I think both his sire and all of his siblings, or sibling childer.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, is that the holy dude? I'm pretty sure he wanted us to kill his family.
Yeah, Leo the Croat.
Yeah, he asked us to kill his family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he asked us to kill at least his sire.
And then he had to live in the ruins of that town with all those people who you killed in the process.
He didn't have to live there.
Decades and decades and decades.
Sounds like a him problem.
It is, but he's been kind of stewing in his bitterness, really.
Well, he's a bit of a fucking dickhead then, isn't he? Here, do this for me. Oh, I hate you for doing this for me.
Elysium is kept
Fucking kill him as well.
in the dungeons beneath the Old Lord's Tower. Ferdinand's official residence, right on a bend of the Milijaco River. Also down here is your terrifying, captive, blood-addicted elephant ghoul, whose name escapes me, in a thoroughly separate wing of the dungeons.
1 second, I have his name somewhere.
Though occasionally his trumpeting can be heard, even through the walls.
Are we all at the party?
That is a very good point. I think everyone who lives here has had an invite to the party. There's no good reason why any of you wouldn't be. It's thronging with vampires, ghouls, a few rather dazed, mind-controlled mortal servants going here and there. Yeah, we'll say everyone's at the party. Ferdinand, you're the prince. What are you doing at this underground Elysium, filled by people who are all here to pay homage to you?
I'm being modest. I'm telling people, no, you don't mean that, but thank you, it's lovely. And espousing just how good the city is, you know, what it's done for the area, what it's done for us, vampires and kings alike.
People are polite, lovely, in fact, courteous to your face. Though every now and then you do hear a slight snicker or a glimpse of get a glimpse of conversation as people talk about the folly, the overwhelming, not even half-finished stone structure positioned just south from here, which your residence was once supposed to have a commanding view of, and now, whenever you leave the towers you call home, you're left to stare at this colossal mess of half-ruined, in fact entirely ruined stone columns and poorly built walls, many of them half torn down to create other buildings in the area, which was supposed to be your crowning achievement.
I mean, the cathedral kind of was, right? I ended up building the cathedral as well, so...
Cathedral looks absolutely lovely, and it was significantly cheaper to build, as you had all this stone lying around, so...
Wasn't it also smaller?
It is. You can see it over at Figure B on the map.
So, I mean, I hear their laughter, but they don't know what it's like to run a city. They don't know about the sacrifices you have to make, and they never have to know that I fought elephants for 300 odd meters tall. No.
Except us. We will always know.
I mean, I feel like Kamala would definitely be there, kind of trying to advise and politic through on Ferdinand's behalf and assist him.
Aw, thank you.
I mean, that's what she does.
Yeah, so ever-present.
And definitely kind of spit her opinion. I say spit. Kind of slide her take on everything into things as well.
So, ever-present at your heels the whole time, your erstwhile aide, Kamala, who came back from the exotic east with your ex-coterie mate, Zoya. She's ever since then been a loyal and capable administrator, but whenever you're trying to do something, it does always seem like Kamala is there with good suggestions on exactly how it should be done.
You know it, baby.
Mm-hmm. We both know each other's game. We both know what's going on. We both allow it, as far as I can tell. I allow it. I know what's going on. Pretty sure John knows exactly what's going on.
I do enjoy that as a prince, your whole rule style seems to consist of, I'm pretty sure I could take them in a fight, so this will be fine.
Push comes to shove. Shove comes to stab.
And how much potence do you have?
I'm just about to level up to 4 potence.
So you're
I kept my potence at 3 because it was 21 experience points to go up to potence 4, so it's potence 3.
Yeah, so potence 3, athletics 3, strength 5. Your shoves are quite meaty.
Yep.
I think under Wraith rules, 10 successes on a physical athletics roll is enough to, like, huck a steam train, but that is...
I could probably huck several steam trains.
Well, your theoretical maximum is currently 8. Oh no, you could blood buff. So that would bring you up to 9.
Yeah? What? Oh, I'm thinking of... Sorry, I'm adding in the melee rules. Sorry.
No, you get one skill at a time, regardless of what you're doing. Cool, let's see what Rasvan's doing, our Nosferatu. So it's a party, Rasvan. You're theoretically an envoy from... Is it Debauch?
Bosh.
I'll go have a look.
I think so.
Oh god, no, it's worse than that. It's bread.
Oh yeah, it's bread. Alright. No, I'm chatting to people. I'm being way too friendly. I'm introducing myself loudly as the everyone's a vampire, right? Like,
it's Elysium, so it's like vampire safe space. The idea is you're not allowed to use disciplines, and you should be good, in theory, to talk about anything. The silence of the blood does not apply here.
I'm like bragging about my dad and my grandpa, being like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally from this place. Have you seen it? They're like really well-known vampires."
Sorry,
He's
so
like,
is it, just for clarity, is it like your actual father and grandfather, or also your sire and grandsire?
my sire is my grandfather.
Oh, your sire is your grandfather. Oh, fair.
Yeah, but my dad is also a famous Vlad.
Daddy.
Daddy. He's very rich, you know.
Daddy.
I'm wearing a very nice mask this evening as well. It's got like pretty floral patterns on it.
That's fair. Let's actually just have a look. What's your resource? Resource is 1. So this mask is either the nicest thing you own, or it's not actually that nice, I'm afraid. Or Ferdinand gave it to you to stop you from embarrassing people.
Maybe
Ferdinand gave it to you to stop you from embarrassing people.
maybe Kamala spotted my plain white mask and was like, "Hang on."
I have.
Kamala definitely had a good idea for the design.
Yeah.
So yeah, that boorish Nosferatu, which Vecmamina has foisted on you, who I think you actually quite like, but gods, he can be irritating on his day. Is
I think friends with you.
Is my fragile emotions. Is roaming around the party, being pretty much as boorish and irritating as you might have imagined. The irritating thing is he's actually got a fair bit to boast about with his distant lineage and being part of both a family and a line of vampires that runs through that family. Not at all uncommon in certain parts of Eastern Europe, but a little bit less so here in the Western Balkans. And it's enough to sort of raise an impressed eyebrow from more than a few visiting Canaanites.
My retinue is good.
Also a significantly more dignified death than either you or Zoya had. I don't know how Kamala was embraced.
I never decided.
That's fair, you don't have to have some secret.
I'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah. And finally, Zoya, crushed by the loss of your entire caravan to the Black Death, with your remaining animal friends presumably kept safe and out of town in the Perakika forest.
Yee.
You've been kind of obligated / guilt-tripped into turning up to this party by Ferdinand. How are you doing? What are you doing? There's a lot.
At this point, I'm wondering how Ferdinand managed to find me to guilt trip me into doing this. Not gonna lie.
He's got a lot of mortal servants he can call upon nowadays. Is the thing. I think you just come to town. Yeah, after the Black Death, you did come to town. So like you've been. I think we can assume that you've been living out in the forest outside the castle. As you.
From what I remember last session, Zoya spent a couple of decades in the woods recovering.
Yeah, but then she came to she came to town right at the end of it. So you've been in and around, around Verbosna for like 6 months to a year at most, maybe less than that if that's what you'd prefer.
I think she'd be there for less time. It would probably be kind of a month, maybe 2 before this thing.
I would have been offering all the stuff I could have done to help as well. So anything I could do to make, Zoya more comfortable, or, help her with her loss and grief.
Yeah, you offered her a big house on the edge of town that you'd boot out some people, get her all set up, and no, she's out there in the woods with the remainder of her rats and her dogs.
I do offer privately to kidnap some people from Constantinople to be her new Jati.
Can I slap him?
Yeah, that was a stinging slap.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which
Ferdinand is well-meaning, but not well-saying.
But yes, he did manage to convince you to come out to this party at least. Perhaps the first successful social interaction he's had with you since you turned up, listless and upset. What do, Nikki? How's Zoya mooching around here? What's she up to, if anything?
I mean, she's kind of just keeping on the fringes of things. She's interacting with people who interact with her, but she's not going out of her way to interact with others.
That's fair. So being like curt and polite, but no more than that. Just enough to cause a fuss type of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone gives the wide-eyed wildling at the edge of the party a little bit of a wide berth. People occasionally come up to talk to you, but there's no one else here from your clan, certainly no one else you know, not other than Ferdinand and Kamala. And I suppose you might have met, what's his thingy, Rasvan at some point as well, potentially, as a hanger-on of Ferdinand's. But people know better than to tangle with the wild-looking vampire who doesn't want to make eye contact with anyone. That's usually code for, I am a very killy gangrel, and I will not put up with your bullshit.
Kamala checks in occasionally to see if there's anything that she can do to help.
Indeed. Party's been going for a couple of hours now. Rasvan is having a great old time. I'm guessing the other 3 of you probably aren't drinking much. Kamala, you're always on Ferdinand. Ferdinand, you're getting like a stream of guests coming at you. Zoya, you're just not in the mood for it. But Rasvan, Ferdinand has put on a big old spread. There's a long series of tables in the middle with a selection of humans drunk or high on different substances. Some on...
That doesn't sound like Ferdinand at all.
Well, you know what? Let's check in with Ferdinand. Ferdinand, what drinks do you feel you provided for this party?
Well, everyone has... from what I remember, everyone has their own street, and they have their rules around it. I think my rule is generally no killing humans, no draining them completely. You keep your flock well if you want to live in my city, right?
That was so different from last campaign.
No, he's still wrote of chivalry.
Yeah, but I mean, he absolutely despised anything that we did that involved drugs or alcohol, or anything at all.
So what I'm saying is that I'm not having any humans here drunk tonight. What I'm telling them is... instead of having the humans there, because I don't want them exposed around this many vampires, they each bring a couple of pints or a couple of gallons of blood from their various streets, and allow them to sample the local produce, essentially the local flavours of each street.
It is considered quite gauche, just so you know. Ain't no one going to stop you doing it. You are the prince, but it's a bit like if the king invited you to a potluck. You would probably go, but you're a bit surprised that he's doing this.
I mean, I'm gonna stick to my ideals. Also,
you absolutely can. I'm not telling you can't. I'm telling you that unfortunately the society that you are operating in does not necessarily think well of your ideals. That doesn't make the ideals in any way wrong.
Change always starts somewhere, right?
It's a totally valid point, and you're the prince. Anyone who has a problem can take it up with your sword.
We'll also be spicing the blood with various things. I don't want...
You need to pass it through the human.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm telling the gangs to, like, the various vampires, the various streets of the flocks they own, sample the local produce, sample, what happens in those streets, you get the flavours through what those humans are doing. And if they wanted to spike the humans, I suppose, I'm not down with that too. Yeah,
so,
it's just barrels of blood from the various streets, all named very elegantly.
It's definitely a spread. Kamala is on foot. In fact, you know what? Let's have our first roll of the campaign, shall we? Kamala, damage control.
What am I rolling then?
I will take Charisma Etiquette, difficulty 8, please.
Alright. What is it? We roll 10s, yeah?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 crits.
Do you have a specialty in the subject? Or, well, a related subject?
I do not have a specialty.
Unfortunate. Cool, still, 4 successes. Yeah, Kamala is, the only time that she strays away from your side is to trying to take narrative control less. Kamala, how do you want to approach this? What you're faced with is a party full of guests who came here for a feast and were confronted with the vampiric equivalent of bread and water. In fact, you remember that, not Monty Python, the Blackadder episode where...
Nope.
Damn it.
Sorry, but I do not.
Screw. But yeah, the vampiric equivalent of bread and water. So from Ferdinand's point of view, he's doing a really ethical and noble thing, and like people should respect his taste and his preferences. It's his fucking city, and he's arguably even correct. But everyone came here expecting a feast, and again, basically bread and water type of a situation. They might be nice breads, but they were hoping for more of a stuffed quail situation.
Fucking hell. I have no idea.
That's okay, I can substitute something in if you like.
Please be my guest.
Yeah, so you do your best to stay at Ferdinand's side the entire night, but you are rapidly drawn away as the party begins bubbling into almost revolt. No one's going to take a swing at the prince over his dining choices. Oh Jesus, what's that noise?
Tape.
Sorry, tape. That's me.
Alright. Yes, no one's going to take a swing at the prince over this, but these are hungry vampires, and many of them refuse to just drink from blood vessels. Anyone who's more proud than they are humble or politically savvy, which is quite a few of the undead in attendance. And therefore, tempers are getting short, which means you're forced to flip through the entire party, playing hostess, trying to keep everyone nice and calm and cool and reminding them where they are, basically working to soothe the riling beasts of maybe 60% of the guests.
I need a fucking pay rise.
Does it put a wrench in that if I am aware of the utterances going on, and people can challenge if someone wants to, if someone wants to drink from my flock, they'll have to go through me first, and I can offer a friendly bout of sword fighting if they'd like to do so.
Yeah, you sort of make it abundantly clear to people as they come and introduce themselves to you over the night that these are your rules, and anyone who wants to disagree with those rules can fight the prince. It's been a few hours, though, at this point. Kamala's been on full damage control. You've been on equal parts kind of just watching Kamala work her ass off to to keep things intact as fangs start to slip out of mouths. Zoya's very clearly not enjoying herself, but also she's one of the few people who ate before she came. And I guess really the only person who's really genuinely unabashedly having fun seems to be Rasvan.
Good old Rasvan.
Rasvan is having fun, but he thinks this is a very crap party. Like, who doesn't serve blood?
Whoa, fight me, bruh.
No, I'm not telling you this. I'm just keeping this opinion to myself. I just think it's very unusual. Is this how you do things outside?
You've known me for like nearly 100 years. You know
Yeah, and you have not thrown a party in that time.
You are a bit of a miser.
Whoa.
All you talked about was this
I'm a happy-go-lucky
elephant.
flaming bon vivant.
I'm gonna actually, as part of my soothing, I want to say that he's not from around here. This isn't how he's used to throwing parties, and he hasn't thrown one in such a long time that this is quite a new thing for him. He's still learning.
Issue you're running into there, I'm afraid, is that, as mentioned in the intro, there are a number of the Arpads here, which means you have a lot of Hungarians in attendance, and they are very swift to decry that.
So you got to remember one of my core character concepts. I'm a happy-go-lucky blooming hedonist, so I know how to throw a good party.
Yeah, you just chose not to.
So,
You chose to throw a very
he thinks he knows how to throw a good party. He does not. Wreckmine you how to throw a good party.
I am not criticizing Ollie. I am simply stating this is an entire... And again, you are the prince. You are allowed to do this.
what I was saying is letting people get, they got their flock maybe a little drunk before or whatever and then drained them. That could be... Never mind. I think I already said no.
Even then, most of the local vampires didn't really... would not have enjoyed the fact that they've basically been expected to source the food for you when that should really be on you as the host.
It's a BYOB pie.
Yeah, you've made it a BYOB party that you're not contributing to because you're hosting. So it's very cheap from your angle, but that also is a thing that people are mentioning, is it looks cheap. But to be fair, that cheapness also looks deliberate. Anywho, it's been a couple of hours. The only person having fun is Rasvan. And the thought occurs to you as you're kind of watching people, the slow parade of people still occasionally coming in. There's maybe 20, 30 vampires and assorted retainers scattered throughout this capacious underground dungeon. The thought has occurred to you that you're supposed to have someone doing this, aren't you? Like, it's not actually Kamala's job. You have an appointed Keeper of Elysium. There is a K-Knight who's supposed to just sort this for you. It's a very good question. So, the K-Knight in question is Alexia, of no fixed second name. She's Greek. Oh no, she does have a second name. Alexia Krekorikios. Yes. She's your Keeper of Elysium. She's also actually your sheriff. You being you, a very hands-on prince whose skills tend to lie in stabbing things, punching things, and in a pinch, outrunning things. She's more of a, serves the papers sheriff than an actual does the executions sheriff. So I think the practical side of things is where you actually exercise your power. But she is missing. You've not seen her all night, and she should have been here before the guests started arriving, really.
Worrying. I'm going to send out a servant to look for her.
Yeah. Another hour goes past. Things are still a bit tense, but Kamala's 4 bloody successes on a difficulty 8 are keeping things just about under control, though there's a small explosion amongst the Arpads when their Hungarian customs are called into question. It's somewhat cooling down now.
I'm going to go... Are
they anything like iPads?
No.
Okay.
If they're any... if it's been an hour, I'm getting a little worried if no servants found them.
The servant comes back at around about the hour mark. Blanching. God, what accent am I doing for the peasantry in this?
Yes.
All right, governor.
I can't even do a bad Cockney accent.
Just do it.
Hey up, Chuck.
Yeah, right, governor.
If I could do Northern,
I'm from Hungary.
Wallace and Gromit would be great. You know what? Screw it. We'll have the good old classic West Country peasant. Way.
Way.
Anyway,
I know you're all very surprised by this turn of events. My lord, your sheriff is dead, mutters the servant to you, a hushed whisper. You you see several, not too nearby, but nearer by than you'd like, vampires seem to half turn, their ears pricking in curiosity.
I go to make a large...
Kamala quickly points out that we're all dead, so it's nothing to be concerned about. Please go back to your drinks.
I think you're still rushing around the room.
Damn it.
I go to make a large movement, then stop myself before I, slam my pommel into the chair or anything. Baz just rose majestically out the side there. That was great. Same speed all the way up. I take the servant aside. Where and when?
Where and when? That's a good question. The servant eyes you with pure terror writ large across his features. I found her in her quarters, just across the river in the old town. I couldn't say when, she was naught but ashes and bones, my lord. I did find this knife still embedded in her.
I'm going to look at the knife.
Okay. Could I get...
No.
Stamina Fortitude, please, Ollie. Difficulty 7.
Fortitude is for... So, stamina and fortitude?
Stamina Fortitude.
Cool. So I also have... Yeah, so that's... Fortitude gives me extra to my stamina, right? So
yes.
3, 4...
But you don't get Fortitude, Stamina, Fortitude.
No, I know. It's 7 then. 7d10.
Okay, that's 4 successes again. Jesus Christ. We may need to prevent Sophie from rolling this session, or she's going to do something very well.
I never do anything well.
That's the concern, right? But John and Ollie just got 4 successes apiece.
True.
Yeah, as the servant hands you the knife, your skin begins burning immediately. With great presence of mind, you sort of thrust it back into his hands. Looking down, you can see that the tips of your fingers have burnt away. You've managed to bite your tongue hard enough that you've not even let out so much as a whimper, but you can feel a trickle of vitae oozing out from the muscle where you bit down just a little too hard. The knife stung. What do, Ferdinand?
Does it look holy?
It doesn't look particularly holy, but it certainly felt like you'd gripped the cross itself.
That probably means there aren't any... It wasn't a vampire doing that. Logically, that makes me think... it was either those magi vampires, some of their mates heard about how to let them in and they come back for revenge. Or the Crusaders have... Crusaders have come back. The ones from... which country was it where we had the Dick Hydra?
Croatia.
The magic Crusaders of there. Okay, I'm going to order very quietly to the servant. Lock down the city gates. Keep the guard.
So I've got some bad news for you, Ollie. Per the map on screen, I never actually got round to giving your city walls. It turned out to be a lot of effort.
I have walls. I have walls.
You do not have walls. You are in an extremely high mountain pass, and also you can't just shut down the city gates anyway. Like, at least not for more than the night.
No, I know, it wouldn't. It'd only be for the night. But also, what the fuck? What sort of town created by a knight doesn't have walls?
Quite a lot, actually.
You were too busy focusing on your bloody stable.
Too busy lifting and not enough.
This is also true, is you had a number of expensive projects in a little... So when you got here, if you look over at figure K, that was basically the town, but with less houses and no castle. So it was like 3 to 4 streets. It was basically a tiny village. You built your tower at figure D. Figure H and the rest of figure K are all of the houses and industry that you sort of expanded to start work on your giant stables, which was so big that there's still shit tons of stone left over, and you've managed to cannibalize immense amounts for the cathedral, and then later the royal family's done the same for their castle, and also people are just using it for building their own homes and things. You've had incredibly expensive building works going on in a valley at close to the top of the Dinaric Alps, or well, it's one of the uppermost valleys anyway.
Really funny.
It's not like anyone can put elephants or anything horrible over Alps, right? So I suppose I'm fine.
So, fun fact actually, in universe, Hannibal's elephants were Gould, and they still almost all died.
I think you told me this, actually, yeah.
I think it's actually why you originally wanted elephants.
Vaguely remember maybe something along those lines, yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to Kamala, and I'm going to say a situation's arisen. I need to arrive. Make it seem like I'm just quickly going off to some business.
So, just for the record, at about the moment that you turn to find Kamala, Kamala more or less materializes behind you, as though she'd been standing there the whole time.
Were you standing there the whole time?
It's up to you, John, exactly when Kamala got there. But you basically sort of noticed that Ferdinand was going off to speak to a servant in private, and then immediately that was priority.
Yep, that's exactly what Kamala would do. As soon as she noticed anything was wrong, she would be there to try and figure out what's going on.
You have like one eye locked on me at all times, just move independently of the other.
Kind of how he's been building it.
That's holding a dumbass party.
I turn to Kamala. There's a situation that's arisen. The sheriff has died. I'm going to investigate. Keep the party going and let anyone know.
Do you not require assistance with the investigation? It is something that I'm good at.
I tell Kamala not right now. If I need assistance, I shall call for it.
Okay.
As you wish.
As you start heading out of the room, we're just gonna... Zoya, you've not really had much to do at this party, other than occasionally stare daggers at Ferdinand, see if you can will him to burst into flames. But you do notice that he's off doing something slightly interesting in a corner. It's the first time he's left his big dramatic throne all night. And he looks to be sort of scooching out a rear entrance. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on that, Zoya Nix?
Well, I'm gonna follow him. Like, I want to try and be not stealthy about it, but, discreet, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. But, yeah, I want to follow him because that looks far more interesting than whatever the fresh hell this is.
Okay, well, I'll take a stealth dex diff 7, and we'll see how it goes in terms of how discreet you manage to be.
Okay.
So that's 1,
2 successes.
2. Yes. So, Ferdinand, you pop out the rear entrance, leaving Kamala in charge of your very expensive party. Well, actually, I suppose it wasn't a very expensive party. Leaving Kamala in charge of the cheapest
your cheap-ass party.
Yeah, the cheapest party.
I know I'm a blood if there are being people there.
Very average.
It's like serving people garlic bread, but you've chopped them into little garlic bread soldiers, and for like a highfalutin dignitary party. And it's the same bread, guys. Why are you so off-put? Snobs.
Literally my train of thought right now.
No, it's beautiful. Like again, I make fun, but I'm only making fun of from the point of view of people. You're doing great, Ollie, and we love you.
Thank you.
Interesting.
I really needed that.
Let's just before we catch up with you two, then let's check in with Rasvan and see how he's doing. Rasvan, you're clearly the only person at this party having fun. The only person who's actually really moving around as much as you, even, everyone's just kind of splitting off into their own groups, is Kamala, who's not quite zigzagging, but seems to be almost materializing between little parties, little groups of people, smoothing over angry tempers and such. What, if anything, are you up to?
I've taken notice of her, right?
Kamala, certainly.
Alright, I'm gonna try and get her attention.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Is there any more food at this party? I didn't bring anything, because I thought,
Yes. Unfortunately, that's an opinion a lot of people here have. We need to educate the prince on how to properly throw a party, I think.
Okay, I see. So he's new to this, right?
It's not something he's done since I've known him, so I'm going to assume it's not something he's done before at all.
I mean, it's only been 100 years that I've known him.
That's a long time.
You've known him about 60, I think, by my charts.
Yeah.
Kamala has known him slightly over 100.
All I'm saying is, I've thrown parties. I'm a bloomin' headman. But you would have known full well by now my affiliations with drinking from humans.
That's totally correct. It's almost certainly the case that you've had not quite blazing arguments with him, but that you've all spent years trying to talk him away from this. And the lead up to this party, people trying to convince him to just serve one, just at least one human, please.
I told him in the past, this isn't how you do things.
Yes, I've told him as well.
Where is he anyway?
He's dealing with some private business that's arisen.
Private business at a party?
Unfortunately so. It's the problems of being a prince. You have responsibilities all the time and everywhere. Can never escape them.
But he likes to brag about he's the prince of party,
He does, but surely you with your illustrious sire would know what it's like to have to fulfill your responsibilities at all times.
Oh, I totally understand.
The amount of pompousness you managed to put into that, though.
I'm sure he will be back soon.
But I was back home.
With food?
Maybe.
We'll see. I recommend it.
So do I. If you've known... Hold on, just out of character for a minute. If you've known him for that long, then you've probably known Commander for that long, right? Logically?
Probably.
Yes.
We're friends, right? Yeah, fuck it. I'll quietly whisper to you that if you wait after the party, you can feed off some of my stock.
Oh, very nice.
You just invite him to an after party.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now we are talking, eh?
I very much got Borat right there. I like.
Give me a minute. I have not figured out how to do this accent.
Yeah, I think we're all just sort of letting you ease into it. It's session 1.
Exactly.
And
I'm also getting a lot of crossover with rugs.
Yeah, there's a lot of rugs in there.
So, Ferdinand, you're about halfway out through one of your various secret tunnels out to, we'll say, the other side of the river, when you hear footsteps behind you.
I'm going to use my celerity to turn around incredibly fast and swoosh up to whoever's behind me and grab them by the neck.
You do definitely get as far as turning around, but you recognize the person who's behind you.
Hands a little outstretched, like, oh, okay.
Zoya, You've been stalking Ferdinand for some time. Not even really stalking, just quietly seeing how long he'd take to notice you, and eventually got bored by the point you sort of hit halfway underneath the river, and let a few of your footfalls be heard. It's a microsecond later when Ferdinand's just a bare couple of meters, maybe not even that, in front of you, hand outstretched before he's kind of twigged who it is. What do?
I disengage the hand, put it back in its holster.
It's called a pocket, Ollie.
Zoya, what are you doing here?
What does it look like I'm doing here?
Well, it looks like you're following me. Why are you following me?
Because whatever you're doing looked far more interesting. I was bored stupid.
These uncultured swines think they need people to party. It's just blood.
Oh, it's not the blood. I don't care about that. I ate before I came.
Maybe I'll add fire to the next party to liven it up a bit.
Well, I can illusion that for you if you like.
Quickly reminisce about the old times.
It's a very good point. You've arranged no entertainment either, like...
Kamala will have arranged some form of entertainment.
Yeah, I would have thought there would be some.
It's
right?
kind of beautiful, because you've got Nikki here. Or, maybe that's what it is. Like, you were trying to get Zoya to do the entertainment, and she refused.
No, I'm not asking my incredibly depressed friend who had her entire family murdered several decades ago to ask her to do entertainment when she's still clearly not over it. I may be socially awkward, but I'm not.
You offered to buy her a new family. You offered to buy her a new family. Worse,
yes,
you offered to steal her a new family.
There's a difference. Buying a new family is caring. Asking her to do the performing arts is crass.
Okay.
Before she was spending all of her time literally putting out fires. Well, not literally, but almost putting out fires. Kamala could have been doing shadow play to try and just make shapes and shit dance around the room.
You can. You have retainers and such as well. You can. Ollie, you're the prince. What did you have your human servants doing for entertainment?
Acting out, but they don't know it, various vampiric abilities. So they're just acting out.
What?
I was expecting you to say, like, a juggling act, or
I
a
was
play,
thinking also, like,
or...
athletics.
I
as
think
well.
that's quite good, actually, because that's the K-Knight equivalent of having a court jester, right? It's like putting a silly hat on a cat, you know? It's,
Exactly.
oh, look at him, he thinks he's people.
Yeah,
You'd know all about that, wouldn't you, number two?
Did I show you those silly hat pictures on Baz?
I don't think you did.
Oh, sake, let me just do... quickly, role play amongst yourselves whilst I send some pictures.
Zoya, I'm out on personal business.
Still more interesting than the party.
Well, I'm clearly not getting rid of you.
Nope.
Would you like to join me for old
I'd
time's
love
sake?
to join you.
I informed Zoya that I have found... Well, my sheriff has been found dead. Killed with what looks like a holy dagger. Or a holy weapon of some kind. I
Holy
uttered
weapon.
the word true faith with a shiver. Even though I should theoretically almost have that.
Why would you have true faith?
I'm a good Christian boy.
That doesn't give you true faith. There's plenty of people who are good Christian boys.
No, I know. I think Ferdinand likes to think that one day he could get true faith, knowing full well that if he does, he may just burst into flames.
You can actually have true faith as a vampire. It's vanishingly
Really?
rare, but it doesn't kill you.
I mean, I don't know if I would know the concept of true faith, but I would know the concept of weapons or objects that have a very powerful faith.
No, absolutely. True faith is almost a game term, basically. Sorry, I think you're echoing slightly, Ollie.
Oh, sorry. Let me put my... Is that a little better?
Test. Yes, perfect. Oh,
Yep.
Wait, no, it still echoes a bit. Well. Yeah, true faith, there are some individuals who would have a concept of, like, what that means. All you would know is sometime... Like, faith has to be really amazingly sincere to actually hurt, but you wouldn't have, like, a separate box for true faith, necessarily. Just that it's, like... like the ambient difference between someone who's a saint versus someone who's not. You both would be Catholics in your eyes.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I let Zoya know that I've encountered some form of holy weapon, something that hurts to touch and was used to kill my sheriff. And there is presumably a vampire killer loose in the city. That's not good for business.
Zoya.
I'm gonna say, in that case, you'll want me along, won't you? You'll need a bit of backup.
It's appreciated.
The tunnel brings you out just on the opposite side of the Millajacka. You're in the old town, the northeast quarter of the map. And from there, it's not far, just a few streets before you arrive at... Was it Alexia, I would say?
Alexia, yeah.
Yeah, Alexia's haven. You can see, even from the outside, that it's been forcibly attacked. The door has been broken in, and though there are no humans visible, none of her retainers or anything, you can see a dog next to the fireplace that's had its throat gouged out.
Does it look like it was supernaturally gouged out, or was it like with claws or with a knife?
Looks like someone just got really, chop happy with a butcher knife.
Chop happy with a butcher knife, okay. So I have Auspex level 2, so I get the sudden revelations where I can feel if there's an impending threat against me, but I think you need to roll my...
That's fair. No, I think it's perfectly reasonable to, prompt if you're concerned about an ambush. Auspex, where's...
194.
194.
Yeah.
So, an equivalent to perception? Oh, there is perception.
Yeah, there is perception.
Auspex is like vampire perception, essentially. I don't know if I need to spend a blood point for sudden revelations. I don't think I do. It's
No,
just,
you don't.
just the roll that you do.
Yeah, no, you're detecting nothing.
Detecting nothing, okay.
The place seems cold and dead.
I turn to Zoya. Do you feel anything about here? Is there anything that seems off to you apart from gestures at the dead dog? Gestures? I always forget.
Gestures
at the dead dog. That.
You pronounce it like Jiff.
Yin.
Let me just wind in my bait. We've caught one John, sounded like.
So, the body is in, a pile of ash on the floor, right?
You're actually just in the front room of Alexia's haven at the moment. She lives up in the attic. It's like one of those narrow 3-story, half leans over the street in front of it, medieval houses. It looks like it's been ransacked down here, basically. There's bottles and such shattered everywhere. The fire's been utterly gutted out. No sign of human corpses, but the dog is dead.
Does that count as animal cruelty?
I would say so.
What do I roll for that?
It's a good question. I actually don't remember how your floor works. Let's go
take willpower, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's just because it's not happening in front of her at the moment, so it wouldn't mean she'd feel good about it, quite the opposite, but she might not have to... Why am I looking under disciplines? That's why I can't find the floor. Ravnos. Weakness. Yes, you... When presented with the opportunity to indulge in your virtue or vice, you do so unless the player succeeds on a self-control or instinct roll, difficulty 6. There is no way that you can assuage cruelty for this dog. You might want to find its killer, but it's dead.
Okay, alright, so I don't have to roll on that then.
No.
Alright. What are my animalism abilities? Hey. Come here, PDF.
Let me get a hand around you, PDF. Nah, down, boy. Okay, so whilst you're sort of looking that up and looking around the front room, Ferdinand, do you want to proceed deeper in?
Yes, I do.
On the first floor is where you find Alexia's brace of human servants, an elderly couple. They've been skewered. their throats cut, probably before death. And the two of them, pinned to the floor by a single spear, plunged through both, right in
Can
the
we
small
touch
of the
the
back.
spear and see if I get the same effect?
Gingerly, you give the spear grace, a little benefaction-style touch.
Wow, this PDF is so slow. Why are you so slow, PDF? It's Chrome. It's eating every memory possible.
There you go. You get no pain. A slightly fiercer touch thereafter shows you also nothing. The spear seems thoroughly mundane.
I take the spear out as gently as I can and close their eyes if they're still open, try and at least make them look a little dignified.
Yeah, they're planted on top of each other. So you sort of pull the spear out, roll the wife off of the husband, close their eyes, smooth the grimaces and scowls on their face a little bit.
I can feel a rising rage coming up inside me. You don't fuck with my flock.
It's a very good point. Have you got like a hard prohibition against killing humans within your town?
There is a hard prohibition against it.
Okay, that is it. You're literally running 1920s prohibition style, like, just so you know.
So they can't kill, but I thought most vampires were mostly happy without draining, right?
Yeah, usually you wouldn't kill people.
People can drain like a couple of blood points. You can't kill their flock.
No, I'm not criticizing the benefaction. I'm not criticizing the way you're running your town at all. The thing is, vampires also tend to. What's a good example? It'd be, especially in the medieval period, and especially before the Anarch Revolt, and I suppose the Inquisition has happened, so they're a bit warier of humans. But it's considered quite namby-pamby to be like, hey, no, you can't kill humans at all in my city. Which is not saying that you can't do it. It's kind of a testament to your sheer punching power that you're getting away with running your city like this. It is your town, however, and you run it how you want. Doesn't mean sorry.
I like to think it's an economics reason as well. People may not listen to the emotional logic, but they may listen to the fact that we can't replenish their stock as fast as they would like. So you appeal to both the hunger and hopefully to their better side as well.
Especially after we're recovering from the plague, which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Stock will be down.
God, I've totally forgotten what I was opening the rulebook for. It can't have been that important.
Rocks fall on top of the townhouse. Oh no.
You suddenly had an aneurysm.
I don't think you can have an aneurysm.
You got cramp. You died.
And a blood point an aneurysm. A blood point to have a stroke as well, I suppose.
Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was looking up fucking Path of Chivalry. How are you doing, Nikki, by the way?
Yeah, I found what I wanted, and it wasn't what I wanted.
Oh, no.
I thought I had something in there about, like, taking on the form of a beast, but that's, like, one of the much later powers.
Fair. Okay, then in that case, you can hear an unfamiliar sound. I would suspect Ferdinand might be breathing somewhat heavily upstairs. Which, as he does not need to breathe, is a purely emotional response. But Ferdinand, I would say that from the way you treat your town, and your flock, your herd, your humans, this is thoroughly what you would consider a challenge to your honor. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
You are currently answering that challenge to your honor by investigating the murder. So currently, like, no frenzy or degeneration roll needed. But yes, just so you're aware, that is apparently now your driving plot arc.
Revenge!
Well, these are his people. It's a strike against them is a strike against him. Zoya, how are you doing?
I'm not sure I've got anything really to help with this. I'm thinking if I follow Ferdinand upstairs and find the two bodies that he does, I wonder if I can use medicine to work out sort of
Oh,
like more
like a post-mortem.
yeah, sort of like see if I can work out any more personal traits to the killer, like whether they were left-handed or right-handed, how tall roughly they were, that kind of thing.
Let's see how many dots in medicine you got.
I've got 3 dots in medicine.
No, I'd say you're qualified to give that a go.
I can also tell you exactly how they were before I rearranged them into a more peaceful manner.
You don't mess with crime scenes, Ollie.
Well, that's actually a 19th century invention. In this day and age, Ollie did the entirely correct thing. He immediately laid them into a more dignified position. What would God think if you didn't do that?
Okay.
So yeah, you sort of head upstairs and find a very visibly upset Ferdinand staring at these 2 corpses he's just laid into repose. I'll take intelligence medicine difficulty 8, please, Nikki.
Okay.
Distraught.
Holy shit!
4
Jesus.
successes.
What was that roll when I wanted to keep my fucking herd?
LOL!
Sophie, too soon. It was only 60 years ago, mate. Not even 60 years. Wait, it was like 20.
Something like that, yeah.
Just
It was
not
not that
really.
long ago.
I'm lolling at the irony!
So mean to me, so...
No!
Oh god, you know what the worst bit is? The Black Death is specifically 1357. Current year is 1377. It's the 20th year anniversary.
Heck.
Womp 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 womp. Womp.
Just been kind of lodging in Ferdinand's attic, functionally, his forest, whilst you get your head straight. Oh dear. Cool, 4 fucking successes. Yeah, you can ask 4 questions in reasonable detail about the situation. You'd already know the shit Ferdinand was going to tell you about, like how they were found with the stacked on top of each other, the spear through the small of their back. What would you like to know, Nikki?
I would like to know, was the killer left-handed or right-handed?
Okay, the killer was right-handed.
Okay, that doesn't narrow it down much.
I want to know their exact...
I would like to know roughly how tall the killer was.
God, how accurate would that be?
You could probably get it from stab angles and how low down on the back they were stabbed.
Yeah,
but remember, they were stabbed post-mortem. Their throats were slit first.
You could still get it from the angle of the slit. You can get it from the angle that the throat is slit and the pressure distribution across the cut.
That feels very modern medicine.
I suppose you could tell, like, the cut, though, would either be, I guess I'm going to be like that, or like that, right? So that would just give you a good guess in any case?
It depends on, like, what angle they've cut from. I'm going to say, at least for the height thing, that the stab wounds, the slicings on their neck are basically a bit erratic, and you're having trouble giving a definitive answer. It could have been someone who was very short. It could have also been someone who was kneeling. Like, from the way that their bodies have stiffened, it's not unlikely that they were killed in their beds.
Okay. Are there any signs of defensive injuries?
No, there are no signs of defensive injuries.
Okay. And my last question is, I guess, do they have, so, was the, I guess it's kind of 2 questions, but, like, fall into the same category? I'm assuming that the spear in the middle of them was the killing blow, but, like, do they have other injuries as well, or was it literally just stabbed straight through with the spear?
So their throats were slit, which is why you were having a bit of trouble seeing what the height of the killer would have been. And
right, okay.
So they only have those 2 injuries. It does look like they were definitely stabbed after death. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a Vlad the Impaler type thing.
I think he impaled people alive a lot of the time.
Did he? I thought he killed them, or they were dead before he impaled them. But
depended on what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both.
Fun fact, I think his earliest known ancestor is just about, like, in his 20s at the moment. If I remember correctly. Sorry, carry on.
I think that was my 4 questions.
Oh, it's true. In that case, let's check back in at the party. So, Kamala and Rasvan. The power duo. It's on you to carry this party. People have kind of noticed the prince has gone off somewhere. He's not been gone that long, but there's also not really that much to do. They have been enjoying the mimed disciplines, but it's gone on for a while now. And everyone's dangerously both sober and hungry.
God damn this fucking prince. Everybody is sober and hungry. Well, not much I can fucking do about that at the moment.
Yeah, there's a good deal of blood left, is the thing, but people are sort of refusing to drink out of vessels on principle. Apart from Rasvan, it seems.
Who just doesn't give a shit.
Rasvan is hungry.
So Rasvan has got the shiniest goblet in the place, because there's no competition for it, and he's just swilling it down.
This is delicious! Blair.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blair, Blair.
One of the Arpad Ventru raises an eyebrow at you, and then sort of turns around with a scoff and goes back to their conversation.
I'm trying to think of something to either liven it up or just find a good excuse to end it.
That's
You could just announce there's been a murder. Please leave.
This is kind of supposed to be the party of the decade, theoretically. Unfortunately,
yeah, exactly.
It's not really shaped out that way, yeah.
What a terrible decade.
Technically the century even, because this is the final marking of the Kotramanics.
I was gonna say it's a shame that Zoya's not there, but this is one of those things where you're not meant to use your abilities, isn't it?
Hypothetically, you could use them for entertainment with the prince's blessing, but you're not supposed to casually auspex people at a party, that type of thing.
Can I bring in any more mortals to provide entertainment, like bards or something?
Yeah, let's. I think that's probably a reasonable. I'll take.
And then use my shadow play to kind of accentuate the story and stuff.
I'll take manipulation seneschal, please.
Okay.
Difficulty 7.
That's a success.
Single success. Yeah, you were able to find one bard. Unfortunately, almost contemporaneous with your party, in just a week, the king is going to be crowned. And that means that...
Fucker's already booked them all, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Bards are in high demand across the city. Most of them have already been booked for a selection of pre-parties, and mortal visiting nobility and such also throng the city.
But the king is friendly with Ferdinand, isn't he? And with Ferdinand's household in general, of which I am technically a part.
Yeah, Ferdinand is considered to be a local magnate, and one of a line of local magnates who've been here for about a century or so.
Oh, right. They wouldn't be in the town, though, would they? The bards or anything. Well, I was thinking if the king's nearby, then it doesn't seem unreasonable that the local magnate could request one of the higher rated bards for the evening or something, especially since it's not actually on the day.
I don't think they really have a rating system, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, one of the more renowned ones or one of the better ones.
Yeah, so if you've got more successes, sure, but on the one success, basically, the bard you've got is the bard you were able to find when looking for them. The rest of them are either asleep at this late hour, or they're already in like really crowded taverns where they can't be easily snatched, or they're at private parties, or they're resting their voice ahead of the big party coming.
Okay, fair enough.
And then, do you have to spend anything for shadow play?
1 blood point to add 1 die to a character's intim. Wait, what?
Yeah, you can use it for what you wanted to use it for as well, though. I think that's pretty fair.
I mean, I can spend a blood point to add it to intimidation or stealth dice pools for the remainder of the scene, but like that's not anything related to what I was going to do.
I think you can, in this context, you can probably use it for performance as well. That's because shadow play is like manipulating shadows casually.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, that totally works.
Allows one to manipulate, move, and animate ambient shadows.
Yeah, no, that totally works for what you wanted to use it for. So you can give me a... Oh, you actually do have performance. Cool, I will take... I'll take...
I like to... I can see the feature of John's character already, is where you ask him to do something like, oh, you already have that.
Charisma, performance...
Can I help out?
That's a very good question. Can you help out?
I want to get up on stage and start telling a big grand story.
About Daddy?
Sure, why not?
I know many stories. My father has told me them.
Let's take a look, actually, because I'm not sure what Rasvan's stat blocks are like. Oh no, I was looking at Rasvan.
I do have performance as well, though. I knew I was going to need it.
I'm charismatic as fuck!
Yeah, you're actually really charismatic.
So charismatic. Appearance, oof! But charisma, yeah.
You've actually got more charisma than me, believe it or not.
Cool. I will take, in that case... God, who wants to lead the demonstration, basically? So, one of you can roll on charisma performance. You'll get an extra bonus dice for having the other one support. And I guess in John's case, Kamala can also activate Shadowplay. Oh, you're invoking Shadowplay and support anyway, so it'll be spend a blood point, and you also get the bonus Shadowplay dice for whoever's rolling.
Do you want to roll?
I'd be rolling 60-10. How much performance have you got?
2.
Alright, so you'd be rolling 7. So plus another one from my Shadowplay, so there you go, roll 80-10.
9, because it's plus the... one for having you support too. And we'll say it's difficulty, just because this is a really, really bad party at this point, difficulty 9.
Oh.
I'm going to be back in just 1 sec.
Jesus Christ.
That's so
there's that roll from Sophie you were worried about.
Fucking, you're not wrong. That's your first roll, isn't it? So that is
Sure is.
5 successes. You don't have a specialty, right?
Don't think so.
Cool, okay. If you had an appropriate specialty, that would have been 8 successes. Which is the storytelling
we
equivalent.
12 10s tonight.
Yeah, who the fuck are you and what have you done with my ordinary P&P group?
I don't know, but I like it.
Nikki rolled with the bad dice for us last session.
You know what? Screw it. Rasvan.
Thanks, John.
Jesus. Rasvan, if you'd like to add a free dot of status, please.
Yes!
As you, with the aid of a bard giving you backing music, the first one, and indeed only one that you could find in a nearby tavern, or rather that Kamala could find, and with Kamala doing shadow puppetry behind you, which is mostly improvised, but actually pretty well done, you launch into a family epic. How old is your family? Like, broadly. Fairly.
Fairly, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Vlax. So an age of migrations epic from the founding of your family in the 4th century AD. It's a tale of werewolves and vampires, of Romans and Scythians, of marauding Huns coming down from the steppe, and noble soldiers fighting them off in tightly packed testudo formations. It's not particularly historical in any way, but it's actually a really fucking good tale. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. I think you've got to add your status, by the way, Sophie.
I don't know where that is.
You
put it in backgrounds.
Gotcha.
Status is your standing in the vampiric community. And... you just put on a fucking banger of a party. That's not even 5 successes. Jesus, that's 6 successes. It was oh no, it's 5 successes. Yeah, I can't count. I counted one of the 10s twice. You put on a 5 success family epic about how awesome your line is, in front of the assembled local dignitaries of the entire region. Oh dear. Cool.
And on the front page of your sheet, it'll go in advantages. Backgrounds there.
Oh!
I think the tab is for like adding extra details and shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Meanwhile, back at the murder investigation, away from the now suddenly not lively but enraptured party, as
not shit anymore.
Yeah, well, it's basically theatre at this point, as Rasvan's like up on the tables, kicking blood barrels all over the place. No one was drinking it anyway. Using it as a storytelling aid, as he goes through. God, what year are we in? Okay, so if your family was founded, or your family's origin story begins in the 4th century AD, and we're currently in the 14th century AD, you've got about 1,000 years of memorized history to go through.
Let's go, lads.
Lads on tour.
Lads.
Meanwhile, it's back at the murder scene. You're on the first floor of 3 stories.
I go up to the second floor, check to see if I can find anything there, go up to the last floor.
Here you run into Alexia Krekericios. You know what the worst bit is? This isn't a Greek name. I made shit up. I made it up and still can't pronounce it. It's karma.
Good job, number 2.
That's what I get for not... I put all of my research into the river shape. Scream. Oh, damn you, Corona. Get out of my lungs.
Just to annoy you further, the first time I looked at it, it reminded me of the intro for EastEnders.
Neighbours. Everybody loves good neighbours.
Pick your nose and taste the flavours.
Oh, wait.
Just remember, neighbours are good friends and also good eating.
Yeah, Ollie gets it. Wait, so now you want to eat people?
Only in Australia.
Yeah, where the people are the safest thing to eat.
Yeah, you just chuck one of them on the barbie.
I'm never letting you do anything in Australia, Ollie. We're not... No.
It's not me. I've been there 3 times. I climbed a bridge and everything.
That is really all there is to do. Yeah.
I climbed a bridge and everything. Wow, that sounds like a really, really exciting trip.
It was the bridge that crosses Sydney Harbour.
The Sydney Harbour Bridge, you mean?
Yeah, the bridge.
No,
the harbour.
No, it's called the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
I know.
It's also the only bridge in Australia, according to Ollie.
It is the only bridge. I saw many bridges, but they weren't bridges.
I'm gonna call mild pace. So you get up to the second floor, and this is Alexia's haven. It's been ransacked, torn apart. The shutters, which have had long since been sealed shut against the sun, have been torn right out of the frame, allowing moonlight to stream in.
How well do I know Alexa?
Alexia, you've known her for... I mean, I'll tell you what, you tell me. So she's basically a functionary, a symbol of your power. She was a bit of a hanger-on. She was a bruja, and she tried not to let her temper get the better of her. How long have you had her in your service?
I've known her for 20 years. She first came to my awareness about 30 years ago when a spate of killings of my flock were happening, and she put a swift stop to it. And since then has risen up through the ranks to become my sheriff.
Yeehaw.
Fair. I'm using the default titles, by the way, but technically you're allowed to call these people whatever you like, and I didn't research suitable West Balkan titles for them.
I expected better, but I forgive you.
Oh, I guess... No, I do know this offhand. So because the equivalent would be a marshal, right? And the Bosnian marshal equivalent is a Grand Duke. So... There's a history there.
I suppose I would have known her pretty well. I don't know if I would have visited her lodgings very often.
Yeah,
if at all.
You've probably been here like once or twice just because.
Yeah. But I imagine, though, I would know roughly based on her personality what I would expect to be in her lodgings and what I wouldn't expect to be. So do I see anything that looks... I don't know. Does anywhere look particularly like it's been gone through to find something?
Everything looks like it's been gone over. You note that anything that might have been incriminating, for lack of a better term, I suppose there wouldn't be much on in that regard, really. Her coffin being the only major thing, and that's been shattered to pieces. But other than that, everything's been sort of thoroughly gone through, tossed over, and in the very centre of the room is a pile of cloth, ash, and bones, mouldering bones with one shattered skull, and a sort of furrow in it, which was presumably where the knife was left.
I shout down to Zoya, I think we're dealing with a vampire here. The shattered coffin kind of gives it away.
I'm gonna come upstairs, and I guess I'm gonna ask, is that a sure thing?
I think that's sure. You don't see a shattered coffin very often. I assume it was a pretty sturdy coffin.
Yeah, it looks like someone really bashed it in with a mace.
Was it stone or wood?
Wood.
I turn to Zoya, do you think the injuries sustained by those downstairs could have been from vampires? I can't see a human doing something like that, but also I'm not entirely sure.
The Inquisition has in recent decades burnt across Europe, and though this is definitely not typical of their punishments, they have done far worse things, usually involving fire. Sorry, carry on, Nikki.
I was gonna say, would I know something like that? I mean, the spear that went through the couple, like the floor below, would that have required vampire levels of strength to do, or would it be feasible for a human to do, or?
Feasible for a human, technically. It was an elderly couple. It did go through the spine, which is a fair amount of bone, but it went through the vertebra joints in both cases, rather than like straight through the bone itself. And looks like it was worked in a bit. It also went into the floor, but it's an old wooden floor, and it didn't go super far in, just enough, maybe a couple of inches, enough to pin them to the floor sturdily. Yes, so it might have been a vampire, technically, but it definitely, it could also have been a fairly beef human, but no more so than, say, your average mercenary or a particularly exercise-heavy retainer of some kind.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna tell Ferdinand all that and say we can't rule out it being a human with a grudge or a vampire hunter.
I'm going to look out the window, the smashed windows. Can I see... I have dark sight. Can I see any footprints beneath the window frames? On the floor several stories below?
Very good question. I will take... Perception... We had the switched ones in this, didn't we? Where we were doing Dark Heresy awareness, and then alertness is your spidey sense. As I recall.
Think so? I don't really remember. I'm also happy just to...
I'll take perception awareness, difficulty 5, please, Ollie.
I think I'm also happy to walk down later if I don't make this. So that's 3d10. Ooh.
Wait, 3d10?
Yeah.
For perception awareness?
Yeah, perception and... Oh, awareness? Sorry, no, 5. Sorry, I heard you say alertness.
Oh, yeah, it's because I was saying I thought we'd flipped him. Oof. I think I said difficulty 5, didn't I? So it's still one success.
One success.
Cool. Yeah, you scan out from the top, looking down and around, trying to see if you can see anything. Unfortunately, the window that's been ripped open, or the shutters that have been ripped open, because they're far too poor for glass windows, damn near everyone is at the front of the house as it leans over into the street, and unless they jump for nearby rooftop, which you look, but you can't see that any other rooftops nearby look that stable particularly. Then they didn't come via the roof, and from what you can see from up here, it doesn't look like they left via the roof. This is way after curfew, and the old town isn't particularly known for its pubs, which means that there's not many people out and about, so the footprints down below all look reasonably undisturbed. None of them seem to be from anyone who's been rushing anywhere, and none of them look particularly fresh either.
Okay, good to know.
Tracking, I guess, is pretty easy, as it's December in a mountainous region in the Western Balkans, so it's a blissfully snowy winter wonderland out there.
Definitely making the footprints very noticeable. No, I'm not seeing anyone who's broken out of the windows then, so I suppose I'm leaning more towards aggravated human then. Does anything... I guess I can't tell if anything's been taken. I think I've got all I can get from there. I'm gonna walk down outside and find the nearest servant I can.
I think your servants are all back at your towers.
In which case, yeah, I think I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna. I want to be alert for any other killings tonight. And there's a lot of vampires in attendance, so tonight would be the perfect time to kill a lot of vampires. Do I know where the vampires who are staying here are sleeping?
Scattered all around town, really. You had to make arrangements for quite a number of them. There are many who are staying in the havens of locals by your command. There are assorted secondary properties that you hold around town that they're staying in. Some in abandoned buildings or have rented their own accommodation, refusing to allow you to provide it. Basically an extremely diverse cast.
Do I know when she died?
You spoke to her yesterday. As she was organising things for the party. She spent a solid hour desperately trying to convince you to renege on your ban on feeding on humans at the party.
So my suspicion is then someone killed an awake vampire, which is a hard thing to do. Sorry, I really need the loot. Do you mind if I just disappear for a bit?
Yeah, that's fair. We can switch back over to... We can either switch back over to the party or see, Zoya, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I mean, at this point, Zoya's not... She's finding this more intriguing than anything else. She's a little bit concerned, I think, mostly because this was a very thorough ousting of a vampire. It was done in... It was done in such a way that it was very efficient. It was done in such a way that showed knowledge of vampires, like with what Ferdinand, I guess, assumes is the holy, a holy dagger, and the fact that she was burned and her coffin was destroyed.
She wasn't burned, for the record. She's just old enough that her body sort of dissipated, basically.
Okay. Well, it was a thing that they knew how to kill the vampire. Basically.
Oh yeah, she was attacked in several ways, and her ghouls also.
2 seconds.
Sure.
Sorry. So I think all of that, the knowledge of how to get a vampire, the fact that she was taken down in her own haven, and her coffin was destroyed, shows quite an intimate knowledge of vampires. But so it's kind of that's got Zoya more concerned than anything else. The fact that it was like Ferdinand's assistant type thing and the sheriff doesn't really concern her all that much. It's more the potential threat to herself that she's concerned about.
It's very fair.
Sorry, I'll still be back on just 1 second.
That boy needs to see a doctor.
It does.
Let's see how things are going back at the party then.
How are things going back at the party?
It's a very good question. Well, I think it's probably up to Rasvan and yourself to a lesser extent. Like, Rasvan, you've been...
Everybody's happy. They really enjoyed the story. Nobody wants to hurt anyone anymore. Everyone fucking loves it. We've done an amazing thing. We've saved the night.
I love your optimism.
And they think that we would do a much better job ruling than the current prince, and therefore every vampire in the region is now backing us.
Oh no, that's almost implicit, honestly. Like, note that it wasn't until minutes after the prince left the party that people started to have fun.
Oof.
And that the only reason they weren't eating each other alive before then was Kamala flitting around the place.
Yeah.
As the prince looked on, occasionally threatening people as they came to say hello. Rasvan, how you've been at this for maybe 30, 40 minutes. How far into the family story are you?
I've just got to my grandfather.
How old's your grandfather?
I guess he's kind of old.
So you've been doing a big Cliff Notes thing here. If you've gone through 1,000... Sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing the Cliff Notes version because I just want to get to the important bits, which is the bits I know personally.
Okay.
That's the saga. Like, she's cliff noting the rest of her family, but as soon as she gets the bit she's in, oh boy.
Then I was born.
God, that sounds so familiar.
Wow.
Fair.
It's like talking to your sister.
Oh, right.
Threw you a fucking curveball there.
Nah.
Okay. God, what is... There's a Disney movie that has that. That's fucking Pumbaa's intro song.
What?
Where he does his birth as the... Never mind. Okay, yeah, so Rasvan, that's been it, basically. You've sped through almost 1,000 years of history in about 40 minutes. And now you're into, like, your grandfather and your father and yourself. When you fought the when you fought the Bulgars, and then you fought the Bulgarians when the Bulgars became the Bulgarians, and then you fought the Magyars, and your grandfather fought, I guess not the Avars, but...
Everyone.
The Slavs and the lasts of the Varangians and the Russians. Oh, the Russians. And of course, those perfidious Greek bastards.
Fucking Greeks.
Rude.
Sorry.
Really just about everyone. No one can keep the Vlachs down. I should not have given Sophie this big, like, swagger orc in a purple robe icon, because I keep just picturing that as Rasvan. And I know he's a Nosferatu wearing a mask, but...
So it's not really far off, to be fair.
Not in my head. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's how that's going. As we've got Ollie back, just for the last few minutes of the session, then. What are we doing at the murder house? You and Zoya are currently watching around the second story. Zoya has decided that she's perhaps a little bit worried that this represents an actual threat to herself, but I think she's still mulling over that. She hasn't mentioned it to you.
Can I use my aura detection from Auspex 2 to figure out if there may be a trail I can follow?
I believe it's a higher level power to follow aura trails rather than just...
I think it may be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's in fact Auspex 3 and you've only got Auspex 2.
No worries then. I'm going to go down. I'll take Zoya with me if she wants to come. And I'm going to talk to my servants whenever I reach them and ask for guards around the people who are staying, if I have enough numbers. If I don't, over the most important ones, I suppose.
You don't really have enough to guard even more than a fraction of them, and for a lot of them, they probably don't want your guards right now. People are a little bit pissed about the party.
That I saved. We saved.
Ferdinand doesn't know that yet, and when he gets back, he's going to find that the only thing people are talking about at his big day is your family history.
Sucker.
You know what? I don't mind that, because I still have the moral high ground.
What moral higher ground?
The fact we aren't fucking draining humans.
Humans are dumb.
Humans are food. I could spare a couple.
My town, my flock, my rules.
He's not wrong.
Clearly, your town.
Absolutely my town. You want to fight me for it?
Well, someone's clearly fighting you for it.
Oh, shots fucking fired.
I don't think someone's fighting me for it. They're just killing people. That doesn't mean they're fighting for the town. That means they're killing people.
It's your town, your flock, your people. It's clearly
Yeah,
an
and I'm about to fuck them up, whoever it was.
attack on you, so...
So it sounds like Ferdinand and Zoya are heading back to the party. We'll say as the final thing of the session then, that you both just arrived for the climax, sneaking back in through the secret entrance, for the climax of Rasvan's story, which we're going to phrase in two parts. So Sophie, what is the big finale to your tale? And then
I was born.
And then
Yeah.
John will do the shadow puppets for it.
And then I was born and brought into the world.
And Kamala, what is the shadow puppet accompaniment for that?
Something tragic.
Oh!
Two tiny violins playing in the corner.
No, something... is the nativity a thing at this point?
Believe so. I think, in fact, it's probably one of the few... I mean, I don't know entertainment regulations for 14th century Bosnia as well as I would like, but I'm pretty sure Passion Plays and the Nativity and such are some of the few legal plays.
Yeah, we're gonna do almost like a Black Mass spoof of the Nativity with the shadows.
Oh, apparently the Nativity play was invented in 1223, so most of you predate nativities, but they're all the rage nowadays.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to do like a Black Mass style perversion of the Nativity for his birth.
Yeah, this kind of shows why people are enjoying it. Most, though definitely not all, vampires do like a good perversion of religion. They take the sort of edgy 90s teenager thumb their nose attitude of like, ha, nerds, they believe in God. What fucking screw those guys? I'm basically God. Oh God, everything hurts. Why am I so depressed?
Oh, that's the story of my life.
Fucking edgy early 2000s atheist who's convinced that they're more intelligent just because, basically.
Love it.
So, with Nativity plays only being about a century old, that means that they're currently sitting at that perfect, slightly more than a century and a half old. That means that they're currently sitting at that like perfect middle ground of they're old enough that the older vampires know what they are and think they're like new and exciting, and the younger vampires recognize what they are without thinking that they're like utterly staid and of the past. So it is peak time period for vampire parodies of such, which means that goes down incredibly well.
Yes.
Fucking nailing it.
You are. And that's the scene that Ferdinand and Zoya come back into, is Rasvan atop your tables. Most of your blood barrels, in fact, have been kicked into various directions as emphasis. There's blood everywhere, all over the floor. And also many of the guests who seem much happier as they watch Kamala sort of make this shadow nativity scene with, at the very center of it, Rasvan, soaked in blood, flailing his arms in all directions as he recites the exciting tale of his birth.
Covered in blood, I suppose.
I'm just gonna start laughing in the background.
Zoya loudly shits herself. And it kind of breaks the tension as much of the rest of the party joins in. Ferdinand, can we get like a final iris close on your face? What's your facial expression here?
Stony, but happy that people are enjoying the party.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah, you're a Christian. We're taking the piss out of your religion.
Absolutely taking the piss out of your religion.
I'm more focusing on the fact that my sheriff has been killed. I'm happy people are happy right now. I don't care why. I'm
That's
just
fair.
pissed
Perhaps
that my sheriff has been killed in full-blown fashion, essentially.
one eye twitching, the other one neutral. Okay, and I think that is a very good spot to leave it till next time. Reminders.
Ferdinand, I saved your party!
All faces turn to the prince. Reminders for next session. Anyone got anything they want noted down?
Not that I can think of.
All faces just turn to the prince probably seems like a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the characteristics that I found for the killer as well.
Oh yeah.
Which were?
That he or she is right-handed. That they are either a vampire to know so much about vampires, or a very knowledgeable human that's also very strong. Could be either.
Cool.
And that the didn't give the couple time to fight back, or they did it while the couple were asleep, so they're probably quite stealthy.
Cool. When the players start asking you basic criminal questions and you go, oh fuck, I've never seen an episode of True Crime in my life. What do I do?
I do this with Norbert as well because, you know, life domain cleric, and we've come across quite a few bodies thus far, and I'm very well versed in medicine and autopsies and things. So,
Oh god.
so as I'm rolling for all my medicine shit, Norbert's like, I know nothing about medicine, help.
Basic technical questions. Oh no! Everyone will see my exposed dumb.
I mean, to be fair, depending on how well I roll, I just sit there and rattle it all off because I really like biology and medicine and stuff, so...
Fair. Any other reminders for next week? Oh, well, next session, rather.
Don't think so off the top of my head.
I'm just going to note where people ended the session. So, Zoya and Ferdinand just came back into Elysium via the secret tunnel at the rear.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
Through
the mountains. Secret tunnel.
Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. Cool. Kamala is making shadow puppets.
I saved the party.
Rasvan.
Shadow nativity.
The shadow puppet nativity, sorry. Rasvan saved the party by epically... Technically, I don't think you saved the party, I think you hijacked it.
I saved the party.
Well, I mean, it's that people prefer the hijacked version. Rasvan saved the party by epically hijacking it with his family story.
I like that you play more forceful characters, Sophie. It makes me giggle.
Oh, I'm glad.
I'm enjoying Rasvan so far, definitely.
Rasvan is everything I've wanted to be. Rich, famous, without consequence.
Well, I mean, the prince is clearly letting everyone walk all over him, so it's fine.
What?
Wait, what's your path of chivalry, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm not letting everyone walk all over me.
Let's see.
I'm letting them have a good time, and I'm not betraying my own oaths to all that.
Cool, yeah, no, you're currently alright, as I will say if they were to get a little bit ballsier, might constitute a challenge to your honour.
In which case I would fuck them up.
Yeah, as you, so remember that you do have a sin where the rationale is honour and reputation are everything. Now, at the moment, they're kind of enhancing your reputation, but also, are they
Kamala
really?
wouldn't try and usurp. That's not her style.
But perhaps replacing the prince with a second, dumber prince.
One that's more easily manipulated. Yeah, fair point.
To be fair, failing to answer a challenge to my honour, like you said.
Though that doesn't mean that you have to kill people. It's just how you often choose to do this.
I push them real hard.
Cool. So I think that probably covers our reminders for next week. Next session, rather. Feedback. Anything you like, anything you dislike, anything you let's see more of or less of next time. I do know it was a bit of a rocky start. I kind of thought I was better prepared than I was. I actually did prep this time. Other than that.
Like a rocky start.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said it was a rocky start. I mean, we had time to prep our characters a little bit at the beginning of the session, which was nice. Grab a few more points and things.
I would say is that we're very uninvolved in the whole investigation thing so far.
Yeah,
we are, but we chose to stay at the party and save the party. I actually had more fun doing that than I would have investigating.
So yeah, not gonna lie, I kind of completely forgot Ferdinand was a bit of a killjoy, despite being a bon vivant. Which again, not a criticism, because from his point of view, he's not a killjoy. He is a bon vivant. People just don't know how to have fun these days. You know, am I wrong, or is it the children?
Oh my god, you see more.
So I thought that the party was just going to be basically self-managing, and you'd all be able to mooch off for a little bit, and it immediately flatlined. So yes, I will try and find ways to diegetically loop the rest of you into it a little bit more. I mean, Kamala's going to insert herself into it, I assume, because Kamala inserts herself into everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'll find some way to loop Rasvan in.
Quick question: can you remember which rule book the rules for a longsword are in?
Yes.
Oh, God, that was such a pain last time. I remember.
Really was.
They are in the Dark Ages Companion.
I think I have that somewhere.
I'll link it to you now. Through entirely legal means.
Hooray, legal!
Yes. They said to YouTube. Any other feedback?
Feedback? I had a lot of fun with that party. That was really fun.
It's good to hear. I'm glad. It's been a while since we've done a party with serious gameplay consequences. And again, it wasn't meant to, but I do appreciate people leaping in and being all like, wait a minute, drugs in Ferdinand's good Christian Bosnia? Not on his watch.
I mean, it was such a big point between Ferdinand and Rekmai last campaign that I couldn't let it go.
I mean, we literally had, or I literally had to distract Ferdinand. We had to distract him for about 3 nights.
No, yeah. It's totally.
You two took turns distracting him for 3 nights in a row so that we could get it set up so we could drug him.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best that Ferdinand wasn't there to arrange the bonus entertainment. Otherwise, that might have become a show and tell with the elephant.
Oh god!
I didn't even think about the elephants. I'm really glad that I didn't.
I did genuinely think about trotting in the elephant at one point.
Is the elephant going a little bit crazy at the moment with all the blood spilled on the floor?
The elephant's not going a little bit crazy. The elephant's gone a little bit crazy. The elephant. When did you get back from India? A century ago, right?
About a century ago, yeah.
So the elephant has been subsisting off of nothing but a diet of furious amounts of kindred vitae, canite vitae, because we still predate that term, and just living in this cave. Vitae tends to make things mutate or adapt to their surroundings. That is not an elephant by this point. It's a strange cave monstrosity that was created from an elephant. But, like, I don't know, I'm kind of picturing almost Play-Doh elephant, like the bones are squishier and it moves with a more heavy tentacular weight. Can you tell I've been playing Carrion recently?
Yeah.
Good game, though.
Oh, I did want to ask.
Yeah.
Did Kamala get any credit for the party and any point in influence or...
no, not really, I'm afraid.
Whatever it was that Rasvan got?
Yeah, no, Rasvan got a point of status, partially because Rasvan made the role, and also the subject matter chosen was Rasvan's family, and then on top of that, you're like part of the regime, you're the right-hand man of the prince. I think, in fact, you're his seneschal. I don't know if we said that officially, but you basically are. And Rasvan is just some random Nosferatu who was the life of the party when it was dying, and then the second the prince was out of his hair was like, hey, kids, let me just pull out my skateboard and show you what is up, yo. So, yeah, that is very contextual. And then on top of that, 5 successes.
Oh, she actually did as well.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you were a scatra. That's the term, I'm told. Anywho. Cool. So I'm glad people had fun back in VTM. Feels weird to be back with vampires, but also cool.
Right? A little bit, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's just easing back into it. My brain's switching back into like, yeah, blood's a thing, and such.
I just want you all to be aware that I actually saved 11 XP, so I can bump myself up to Potence 4, as soon as I have another 10 XP.
Terrifying. Cool. I'm also happy for you guys to split the party a little bit more within reason this campaign, or Chronicle rather, for the record, just because we're pretty much hard stuck within this particular city. So, worst case scenario, you're not even an hour away from each other. It's like 30 minutes across, 40 minutes maybe.
So you reckon we are going to spend most of our time here then?
Well, we're spending our time on this map, basically.
Okay, cool.
In a pinch, you might, I guess, cross to the underworld version or spend time in the tunnels.
There's an underworld version?
Well, the shroud exists, which is the membrane between the living and the dead, and therefore there is always an underworld version of any given place you might want to go to.
Sick.
Find Dio there.
There's a chair in one of the buildings.
Yeah, Dio was a chair somewhere. Dio was soul-forged. What would underworld version, in fact, because when a building is destroyed, it gets if it was sufficiently important to at least one person, it will get a ghostly version, which means that on the other side of the shroud, your elephant stables still stand. Probably a bit taller, probably a bit grander than they ever were in reality, but their full version, before they were torn down for rubble, is still there.
I think one of my next things to do is to pave over that area and just make a shrine or something.
It's going to be a bit difficult. Like, the amount of rock left over, still look at it. Those are not totally to scale, but yeah.
Isn't there still a stable there, though? Just, like, not an enormous one?
No. The folly is more or less as it appears on the map. Like, There were some semi-functioning sort of buildings there, but they've been torn down for resources.
Okay. I thought there was still a form of stable for the elephants.
No. Nikki's elephant lives in the forest with her, or Zoya's elephant, rather, lives in the forest with her, and Ferdinand has tied up his former elephant in basically the dragon dungeon from the Game of Thrones. I choose to believe. I didn't originally plan to give Ollie an elaborate underground series of catacombs, but that's kind of where we're at now, because...
that was something he wanted to do in the interim anyway, though.
Oh, what, dig tunnels?
Yeah.
I wanted to have a fairly... I wanted somewhere that was vampire-proof. And I also wanted something that afforded a lot of escape routes.
Fair, well, I didn't mean to give it to you, but I've pretty much given you that. The idea is you have this old lord's tower, which is not, like, massively, particularly well fortified necessarily, but you've got sprawling tunnels out from under it that let you get out to many places in the city, though theoretically also let many places in the city get into your tunnel network. And down there is the sort of locked off bit of labyrinth that your elephant is forced to stay in. And also where you keep Elysium and such.
I feel at some point during this campaign, I'm going to say, release the elephant. And it's going to happen.
Everyone sort of turns and looks and... Are you sure?
Can you pin the core rulebook PDF for me? Number 2, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. It's...
It's perfectly legal.
It is perfectly legal.
When damage is mentioned as strength plus 3L, what does the 3L mean again?
I'd be lying if I said I remembered. I think the L might be damage type, but it's strength plus 3, plus your successes, which in simplified damage rules is just that is the amount of damage you do, reduced by soak. Oh, 3 lethal. It's lethal.
Ah, that's it. Cool. Cheers. Cool. So if I hit someone with my longsword right now, that's...
Say you get 3 successes on hitting someone, the amount of damage caused would be strength plus 3 plus your 3 successes. For a net of, your strength, 11.
Strength... Oh, I also have potence, remember? So 15,
yes, that's true. So,
15 damage total?
15 damage total before... So if you were to... It is enough that you could kill a human if they're not wearing very good armor. And even if they are wearing very good armor, actually, most of the time you just kill them because they can't soak bleach.
Didn't I kill that vampire with those 15 damage?
You did. I don't think I put him in armor.
Ah, yeah, that's true. He was just in robes. With a puny spine as armor.
Did not have a puny spine. Spines are not scree. Narrative questions. Is there anything anyone was narratively unsure of in that session? Is everyone following the plot?
So far, yes. And it's not a narrative question about the session, but yeah. You said we could kind of buy non-class stuff during the gap.
The interim, yeah. We have had session 1 now, so that's locked, I'm afraid.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say, like, things like Auspex or Potence, the kind of just physical attributes as opposed to the actual, particular disciplines.
Auspex
Are they ones that we can pick up in general, or...?
Auspex is not a physical discipline. You can...
Celerity.
Yeah, it's Celerity, Potence, and Fortitude. You can always learn those at any time.
Okay.
You pay out-of-clan costs if you don't have it as an clan discipline.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just checking.
But yeah, no, those are fine.
I thought Auspex enhanced just sight.
It enhances all senses. You can apply it to any given sense, but it's not considered one of the physical disciplines.
Okay.
Those are... Because loads of disciplines do, like, physical things, but it's Fortitude, Celerity, and Potence. Cool, any other narrative questions?
Did you put Path of the Night inside my path?
No.
I must have written it myself. I completely forgot I did it. It wasn't there at the beginning of the session, was it?
Yeah, because I would have written Path of Chivalry anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do some XP.
XP!
Hey! Yeah, I started doing that voice for a joke, like, a few months ago, and now
Who did you do it with?
I think it was Tuesday Group, and now I can't say XP without doing the fucking XP voice.
I mean, literally,
well, you just did.
I heard you do that was this week. So I don't think it was the Tuesday Group. It must have been the Monday Group. Because I've not heard you do it once.
I'm positive I've been doing that with Tuesday for ages.
Just at the first time, at least the first time I heard it was this week. We're on your Tuesday Group.
Maybe you just weren't listening.
Maybe.
Okay.
Not unheard of, I suppose, literally and metaphorically.
I was just catching up on my chemistry to kind of remember what it did and what it had to do with it and whatnot. And I like the horrid reality.
It is cool.
I very much like the horrid reality.
Is that where you just make everyone super depressed within a radius?
No.
No, I can affect... So, the last level I had for chemistry was permanency. Which is basically, I can create an illusion, and a moving illusion, so I could create like an entire ballroom with food and scents and sensations, I guess, and then just leave it. And kind of walk away. I don't have to be looking at it or anything to maintain the illusion.
Yeah, it would just play on loop.
Yeah, pretty much. Horrid reality. I can choose one victim and have that illusion affect just them. Others can see the illusion, but will only affect them. So if I illusion, like, say, fire on my victim that I've selected, it will burn them for damage.
Oh, shit.
And stuff like that. Yeah, I can create a wall to prevent a victim's escape.
So you could
that kind of thing.
You could illusion up someone full of swords.
Yeah, you basically it's offensive.
Yeah.
It's offensive mime powers. You can make someone else live in your mime world.
I feel like that could be incredibly OP.
Yeah, I think you can see through the illusions. There are roles for it, so it depends on the person.
Yeah, there are roles to see through it, and others can try and convince the victim that it's not real, and a victim with aspects can attempt to see through the illusion. So it's not like infallible by any stretch of the imagination, but I like what it does.
It's also
that's fucking cool.
It's also a 5-dot power, so it's supposed to be the top of the tier line stuff for standard chemistry. So it's okay that it's a bit OP.
Is it Generation 7 and below can access Tier 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I had no follow-up to that.
Okay. So, plot progression. Does anyone feel like you made any significant plot progression this session?
Yes.
Yeah,
We discovered that there was a murder.
We discovered a murder. We discovered that 2 of our party are very good at keeping a party going.
Yeah,
And we turned the rest of the local vampire nobility against the prince.
It's not even the local vampire nobility. One, because there really aren't any. Technically, it's Rasvan, I suppose. It's the local vampire population. They already didn't like him for him crowdsourcing the booze to them. It's the international vampire nobility who was somewhat turned against the prince. God, how do I phrase that? I'm just going to write it down. International vampire nobility turned against the prince.
It did not turn. It mildly curdled.
The literal worst person, Ollie. Character development. Does anyone feel like they developed their characters this session?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
And if so, how?
I wouldn't have said Zoya developed so much as she was playing more into her trickstery side.
I think coming back to yourself is a form of development. Like, you've been moping around the woods for 20 years and then showed up unexpectedly a month ago. So getting back to you is still you.
I mean, I think Kamala's definitely eyeing up Rasvan as a potential replacement for Ferdinand if necessary, and has realised how influential she can be with the vampires of the neighbouring areas, even without Ferdinand's influence.
Didn't you get on quite well with Vecmamina as well?
Yep.
Who'd presumably be quite happy at getting a little finger puppet.
While also being friendly with Ferdinand and not kind of letting on that anything's going on at all, and doing everything in his best interest.
Any,
I mean, as far as he's aware, that's exactly what's happened.
I'm fully aware of all of your fucking little tricks.
He, to be fair,
I mean, but
he
how
has
would
been-
you be, though?
Well, because he's been ambiently assuming that you were working against him, at least in some capacity, since you arrived, and he has been, to be fair, very clear about that. He doesn't have any specific reason to be suspicious of you now. He's suspicious of someone who turns up and does an extremely good job for, like, 0 thanks and almost no pay.
But I got thanks and pay.
You got some things and you got some pay.
Yeah.
Not enough to justify what you're doing.
Because you basically do much of his job for him.
I suppose.
So he's suspicious of you for being friendly and helpful and always forthright.
Too
Fair
much of
enough.
a good thing.
Yeah. Like,
In the best way possible.
you remember his general friend circle has historically been Rekmire, Zoya, and Vecmamina. Now,
Fair point.
Vecmamina he spent a huge amount of recent time at war with, and they only actually just kind of made up in the last few decades. Zoya sodded off and then gave him a pet that he didn't know how to keep. And
He asked for it,
Very
okay?
true, yeah. And then, like, whenever she sees him, she's really rude to him. And Rekmire pushed drugs on everyone he knew.
Drugs.
And also, I think, masterminded the original scheme to get him really fucking high.
Yep. Alright, fair point.
So, yeah, he's...
So we can say our boy Ferdinand has some trust issues.
Oh, yeah, exactly, totally. But he's been very clear about that.
Refer to both photos 1 and 2 I put in Discord.
Cool, any other character development?
Yeah.
I would say Ferdinand developed a little bit.
Yeah, you fucking stuck to your guns there.
Yeah. Like, continued upholding of morals,
Yeah.
of moral qualities.
Fucking everyone there going, oh, go on, just let us kill a little one. We'll kill a child, it'll be fine. Ferdinand. No. The fuck are you? No! Ah, dear. Cool. Rasvan, you were saying you developed. How so?
I got a point in status because, I showed my dick off.
That's
To be
very,
fair-
very true. Rasvan developing his political career.
After that party, and the way you apparently saved it, Ferdinand's willing to give you a little bit more room in terms of...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Oh, wow, it's so gracious.
Fight me.
This
Fight me.
is actually, yeah, pretty classic Prince stuff. Is, oh, you've upstaged me. Let me just put you back in your fucking place, you little twerp. Kiss the ring and give me all the credit. And he's the prince, so
I don't like
You're my official party planner now, so it reflects well on me.
you are actually in the market for a new Keeper of Elysium. Just putting it out there.
I am, apparently. But guess what? Guess how we're looping you in next section?
Oh, Lord. This has backfired horribly.
Officially appointed chief party planner.
Oh, God, no.
You
Why
ain't going to
do
be
How would you like to be a sheriff? A sheriff of parties?
What, you're just going to give her both? Give him both? Well, you're the prince, it's your town. Excellence of roleplay. Does anyone feel like anyone else roleplayed particularly well this session?
I
like
think
Ollie-
Ferdinand did.
Yeah. He fucking stuck to his guns.
Yeah, he really stuck to his character. Like, regardless of what anybody else was thinking, he stuck to his character really well.
Yeah, he certainly did.
I was kind of half expecting Kamala to, like, try and have some mortals brought down into a side room and people would... I don't know if you've ever seen that one episode of Yes Minister where they're trying to arrange alcoholic drinks for a party in Dubai. And they have, like, one communication room off to the side which is just filled with vodka. And people keep slipping away. And by the end of it, even though there's no booze at the party whatsoever, everyone's incredibly drunk and they're just falling all over each other.
I have not, but I am imagining it to be similar to the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they have the party with Captain Holt there, that he's not
Yes.
supposed to be there.
Yeah, it is similar. I would actually say the Yes Minister one is stronger, but I think the humour in Yes Minister is generally stronger, even if the individual jokes aren't as funny as Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But that's a personal taste thing. I like the show, but I often find it cringes me out a bit much.
That's fair. I hate Charles so much.
I can see that. Any other roleplay nominations?
I really enjoyed Soph playing out Rasvan and making the party all about Rasvan.
Yeah, I like that.
Because that was so in character.
I can't type all about and not want to type how my life got turned upside down.
Good.
So this is the story all about how Rasvan came in.
We got to do... Did I mention we did a fucking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air themed harrowing in Rain?
No, that's amazing.
It's the worst thing. It's just... Jesus Christ.
Disagree.
Harrowings are like little tiny plays put on for about 20 minutes in a session where you have to teach a player character a moral lesson, but they're run by another player character.
Oh lord.
So, yeah, like... regrets. Cool. Any other roleplay nominations?
Yes, I want to give Nikki credit for Zoya being completely disinterested in the party while she's busy in mourning, and what the fuck, why was she even invited? Because she's in mourning, and then being like, oh, fuck this shit, I'm out, I'm just going to follow this guy and see what else is going on, because it's more interesting.
I would also like to raise a point for Kamala and John, because John, in the same vein as Ferdinand, stuck to his character the entire time, begrudgingly fixing my mistakes for little or no pay.
Sorry, I'm dying.
I'm going to be really frustrated this entire campaign, aren't I?
I'm kind of picturing a long-term plot to try and get Ferdinand either killed or removed, and Ferdinand just making that as irritating as possible for every other player character the entire time.
That's basically what I did last campaign.
I feel like it's going to be Yzma trying to get rid of
Crunk.
No, not Kronk.
Cusco.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be Yzma trying to get rid of Cusco.
I mean...
Hit him on the head.
Somewhere between that and Jafar, and yeah, you're pretty there.
I'm seeing Sophie's character as Kronk.
I am 400% on board with this.
Okay,
Wow.
I make that out to be 7 experience points for session number 32.
Damn!
Yay!
I know that's good for this, but having just come down from like Black Crusade and getting like 200 is like, hold on a minute, that's fucking
If
nothing.
it's any consolation, it was higher, and then I cut it down because I was looking at it and was going, oh my god, if I use this as the fucking XP scaling, then by the end of session number 5, everyone's gonna have fucking all of the discipline dots at max. So the gradient I'm using is 0 for underachieving on an objective, 1 for achieving an objective, and 2 for overachieving on an objective, with a theoretical 3 in some instances. So I make it out to be 2 points for plot progression. That's discovering the murder and turning international vampire nobility against the prince. Though, if we're honest, he did a lot of that to himself.
I also like to think that because Sophie is my lead, is under me, it reflects positively back on me as well.
You like to think that, wouldn't you?
I do like to think
So
that.
in theory, that is absolutely the case. In practice, not necessarily. And there's also the very obvious caveat for many people involved here that there are 2 major vampire princes in Bosnia, Vekmamina and Ferdinand. And Rasvan is Vekmamina's envoy.
Living in my city for 40 years, though.
Yeah.
Undermining you for 40 years.
Still Vecnamina's.
Mm.
I mean, I think that's what makes it awkward, is Rasvan and Ferdinand have actually got on quite well. Isn't Ferdinand even Rasvan's mentor?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the idea, I believe, at the very beginning, was you sent me a person to be annoyed, that I was going to be annoyed by, and I just turned them into my mentee.
Yeah. But just because they're friends, Rasvan thinks he's doing this all to help Ferdinand out. But especially with certain other parties manipulating things both behind the scenes and honestly in front of the scenes a lot of the time, doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's happening. sorry, 2 points for plot progression, 2 points for character development. Kamala eyeing up potential replacements for Rasvan, replacements for Ferdinand. Zoya coming back to herself, Ferdinand sticking to his Rhodes ethical guns. Always lovely to see that happening. Like, I love Rhodes as a mechanic, and it's beautiful when players like stick to the ethos of the Rhodes and not just the letter of the sins. And Rasvan developing his political career. 3 points for excellence of roleplay. We did have, like, I think the full suite of possible nominations. They were all really good ones as well, so I gave a bonus point. That's Ferdinand stuck to his fucking character. Sophie making the party all about Rasvan. Zoya being depressed and in mourning. Zoya fucks off out of the party at the first excuse. And Kamala begrudgingly fixing all of Ferdinand's mistakes for little or no pay. Which... I kind of love the relish Ollie's taking in the phrase little or no pay, like a fucking Dickensian landlord.
Little to no pay.
Your pay will be little to none.
I'm a sorry boy through and through, apparently. I just realised something, actually, Ewan. Even though, when we end the campaign, you post all the highlights.
Yep.
You don't post the XP
Nope.
justifications.
Not usually.
I think that would be quite cool to see for I mean, maybe not Black Crusade. I can't remember, like, if we did XP justification. Did we do XP justifications for that?
Partially.
Towards the end, we did.
I switched over to the question system, towards the end of Black Crusade because
I think it was just this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it might have just been this year.
It was basically my friend Katia. My friend Katia introduced me to it as a concept in her Hunters game late last year, and I may well have only switched over to using it this year, but I much prefer it as a system to the justifications, which was mostly.
I like it a lot as well because it feels that you get a good amount of XP for the shit you've done. It feels more personable.
Definitely. I also really like the excellence of roleplay thing as a concept because it encourages people to, like, it's basically you can have XP if you give each other compliments on roleplay, and not so necessary here, but especially with new groups and like uncertain players, I find it's so much easier to compliment other people, and it really helps people to like come out of their shell when they can go, oh yeah, I like this cool thing, and people go, oh, I thought I was the worst role player in the world.
Apart from if you're Mao, if you compliment Mao, you have to insult him a second later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, I love Mao, but the boy's a mess. So, that brings us on to slightly belatedly, sorry, I know we are overrunning a little bit, everyone's favourite part of the session, it's the highlights. Just because I presume she's getting tired, Sophie, do you have any highlights for that session?
Yeah, it's Rasvan o'clock, and Rasvan has entered, and Rasvan is making himself known, and Rasvan is the saviour of the party.
This seems a little bit masturbatory, don't you think? Right, sorry.
Saviour of the party. In caps.
Saviour of the party. I think I got the spirit of it down. I lost like 20% in the middle there. So, CD skip. Any other highlights, Sophie?
No.
Cool. Nikki, do you have any highlights for that session?
Yeah, Zoya deciding the party was boring, following Ferdinand, getting bored of following Ferdinand because he wasn't paying attention to her, deliberately making him hear behind him.
Cool. Zoya decides to his and Zoya will follow. Cool. Any other highlights?
I feel like you could sum that up with Zoya's bored.
God damn it.
Zoya gets bored, becomes
any other highlights, Nikki?
Yeah, the shadow play nativity.
It is kind of beautiful that that's like smack dab in the middle of, oh yeah, this is the innest thing you can do. Like a fucking flash mob in 2011 style. They're so talented.
Side note, I'm actually really proud of that, and that was going to be my highlight as well.
Aww.
Sorry, I stole your highlight.
It's totally cool.
I encourage highlight theft. I think everyone should be ruthless and just take all of the highlights. Any other highlights, Nikki?
I don't think so off the top of my head, no.
Cool. John, do you have any highlights for that session?
Let me think of another one. So, go to Ollie.
Ollie. It's nice to see you. Do you have any highlights for that session? It's
I do.
Not nice to see you.
John taking my shit.
Oh, like verbally.
I mean, just in general, just like, yes, make my party good.
Sorry, so
right.
John takes all of Ollie's verbal / menial shit. I'm really enjoying that, yeah, your response to people going, oh, what a shit leader, is to just quietly kick downwards. The bogs need changing and cleaning. Go.
I mean, you say that, but he didn't ask for any of that. I did it proactively.
Yeah,
Proactive is the best part of this. You don't even have to ask.
that, exactly. He'd be a very poor prince if he didn't take you to task for not proactively solving problems for him, and if he didn't take credit for you doing it.
I may be chivalrous, but I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. He's a nice guy within the constraints of his ethical system. He's otherwise just as greedy, manipulative, and cheating as any other slowly aging Cainite.
I like to think I'm a little better than that, but it's eventually
absolutely.
happened.
But yeah. Any other highlights, Ollie?
I did like Nikki sneaking out. That's already been done. You know what? Actually, I really enjoyed Nikki, Zoya, coming along for the detective part. Like, it was like a nice reunion of the old characters. I thought that was a really nice way to have the old characters get like reintroduced to one another. Like, it was a gentle reunion and a nice one.
I did like that too.
Yeah. Fair. Good to hear. Any other highlights?
I think that's me done. I mean, actually, I did kind of like Soph's character just being like, "It's me time, bitches."
I think that was covered with the first highlight, I'm afraid.
No worries. In which case, yeah.
In that case,
I mean, it's me o'clock pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
true. John, any highlights for that session?
I think they've all been covered, to be honest.
Fair. Cool. God, I feel like I've got highlights. But I can't think what they were. I really enjoyed the whole like murder investigation segment. I think that is probably hands down the most well executed murder mystery investigation thing I've ever had in a campaign. Now, I've had some fucking stinkers, I'll say that, but I'm usually really, really bad at setting them up. And then also my players tend to be really quite bad at investigating them. A feather! This must mean that they were killed by a horrible goose! We shall find this goose, tracking it across the land. And just... No, you were ripping open pillows, that's why they were Anywho. Point being, seeing people, like, analyze the body, not make wild assumptions, look into the situation, stay in character for the period as well. File down a list of reasonable potential suspects without making like wild, it must be this and it couldn't possibly be that. Just generally a well-executed investigation.
Yay! I'm a good CSI!
CSI Vampires or CSI Bosnia.
Oh dear.
I did like the bring your own blood as well.
Oh, yeah.
Very stupid.
Oh my god, it still even works as BYOB.
Right?
It's not actually like super ahistorical either. Courts are really expensive, and food is a huge expense, especially when you're having really luxury food every night. It's part of the reason why you have your court travel around when you're a king of a large area. There's a few others as well, quite a few in fact. But like getting other people, especially locals, to pay for your food, good move. I know it was me who said it, so again, a little bit masturbatory, but I'm definitely going to say I really like the image of Rasvan kicking all the blood that people wouldn't drink off of the tables for emphasis.
That's my blood.
No, it isn't. You crowdsourced it.
I mean, yeah, but it's my blood that I crowdsource. I'm a prince, and that's the blood underneath my princely roof.
Oh, you're not wrong. Okay. Thank you all for a very entertaining session number 32. Anyone got any final phrases for the recording?
Can't waffle.
I'm sorry.
How did I know that was going to be Sophie's thing?
You know what?
Relax.
Don't waddle.
Jesus
Cunt
Christ.
waffle.